Obsession can feel intense and consuming, often characterized by persistent thoughts, feelings, or behaviors related to a particular person, idea, or activity. Here are some common aspects of what obsession may feel like. Intrusive thoughts, recurrent and unwanted thoughts that are difficult to control, often leading to preoccupation with the object of obsession. Emotional intensity. Strong feelings, such as excitement, anxiety, or even despair, that can fluctuate rapidly based on the situation or context related to the obsession. Compulsive behaviors. Engaging in repetitive actions or rituals in an attempt to alleviate the anxiety caused by obsessive thoughts. Loss of focus. Difficulty concentrating on other tasks or responsibilities due to the overwhelming nature of the obsession. Physical symptoms. Manifestations such as restlessness, increased heart rate, or tension, especially when confronted with anything related to the obsession. Isolation, a tendency to withdraw from social interactions or activities that don't involve the object of obsession. Unfulfilled desire, a sense of longing or dissatisfaction, particularly if the obsession is related to a person or goal that feels out of reach. These feelings can vary greatly from person to person and can impact daily life, relationships, and mental health. If someone finds their obsession is causing distress or impairment, it may be helpful to seek support from a mental health professional. In my experience, obsession is an unhealthy focus on events or people to the exclusion of realistic and positive thoughts and actions in real time. Wow, that was quite a mouthful. Sometimes I don't know what I know until someone asks me a question that brings the subject into the light. Obsession is a lack of control over our thoughts. It is like we set the cruise control in a car and it just keeps going without stop. And that is the key word here. Stop. There are thought-stopping techniques and ways of changing the focus of our thoughts. Sure, it takes some work and involves doing some reading and even talk therapy if you are really off track. Everything worthwhile in life involves some effort, and getting control of your thoughts and emotions are key to a happy and successful life. Now there is a section in your local library likely titled Self-Help. You will find hundreds of books dealing with positive thinking, psychology, OCD, depression, and building self-confidence. Some autobiographies tell how people have overcome huge disadvantages, including obsessive thinking and behavior. You owe it to yourself to become aware of the problem, as well as what you can do to alleviate it. The problem with not knowing something is our inability to change direction and feel better. There is no shame in not knowing something, but it is a shame if you do not pursue knowledge when it is available. In AA, I learned the first problem to overcome is the denial that we have a problem in the first place. In asking this question, you reveal that you feel obsession could be a problem in your life, and it is up to you to take measures to deal with it. Self-obsession can be a good thing every once in a while. Like everything else, too much of this characteristic is unhealthy. There are times when being extremely focused on self is necessary, and sometimes even good. Going to school and focusing on studies and grades. People do this when looking for jobs too, or when injured or ill. People tend to be self-absorbed, so at times it's necessary. People are naturally self-obsessed as children. That's just part of growing up. But when a person is self-obsessed all the time, that's a problem. That's a sign of insecurity. What does obsession feel like? For about a year in college, starting toward the middle of my freshman year and into the middle end of my sophomore year, I was obsessed with a girl. We had been close friends for about 2 years, but there was something about going to college, the atmosphere, and a change in our interactions with each other, where we went from a relatively healthy friendship to an obsessive one. This was probably the single most unhappy and unproductive period in my life to date. Every waking moment was spent thinking about our interactions. I obsessively went over how many times we had seen each other over the past few days, picked apart our conversations and planned out ways that I might see her. I spent hours rating myself against her other friends, trying to be first place, which was never possible. I was obsessed with being her closest friend and looked for small signals that a romantic relationship between us was possible. When I say she was the only thing on my mind, I literally mean her and our interactions and conversations were the only thing I could think about. It was hard to read or do homework, and when we were apart, I would spend long periods of time looking at photos of her on Facebook. There was this immense amount of tension, confusion, and guilt within me about our friendship, and I alternated between what I thought was love and this intense hatred of her at the smallest things. She was aware of my obsession to some extent, I think, but for the most part, wanted it to just go away and ignored it, which did not help me very much. When I finally came out, this would have been about 3 or 4 months into the whole thing, and told her that I thought I was in love with her, she just walked away from me, which was devastating. It served to intensify my obsession that much more. She was a very physical person, and having her touch me or hug me felt immensely good, but then would leave a days or week-long hole that I could not fill. I would obsess. This is hard to describe, but essentially the one thing I thought I wanted from her, physical interaction, ended up making me more miserable than if I had not received it. Every time she got a new boyfriend, which was every month or so, I would be destroyed again. We would have these long, aimless talks where I would feel worse after we spoke than before. It felt like having a problem that could never be solved, like there was this block in my life that I could never find an answer for, no matter how hard I looked. This only ended when she moved away from the town we lived in, and fairly slowly at that. I still think about this period once a year or so. We've seen each other once or twice since then and things are fine. We drifted apart and I have never felt this way about anyone or anything else. I wouldn't wish it on anyone else. What are some strategies to manage obsessive thoughts effectively? Managing obsessive thoughts can be challenging, but there are several effective strategies to help reduce their intensity and frequency. Mindfulness and meditation. Practice mindfulness techniques to stay present and observe thoughts without judgment. Meditation can help create distance from intrusive thoughts. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. Engage in CBT, which focuses on identifying and challenging irrational thoughts and beliefs, helping to reframe negative thinking patterns. Set time limits. Allocate a specific time each day to address obsessive thoughts. Allowing yourself this designated time can help limit their intrusion throughout the day. Journaling. Write down your thoughts and feelings. This can help.